All right, then the last tip, and my buddy Lenny, who I think is on here, he likes to say things always sound better after 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Shauna would agree.
Yeah. My mom always said nothing good happens after 3 a.m. But
that's the best time.
Yeah, after midnight. Oh my kids, nothing good happens after midnight.
Yeah, but you might notice that after a certain time of day, your system seems to sound better, and that's not just because you've had some Hibiki Japanese whiskey, or that you're relaxed. It really has. Well, yeah, it does. That helps for sure.
I can agree.
Yeah, but it's because of all the electrical interference happening on the grid nearby, and I actually am going to demonstrate that for you guys here. So on my desk, I've got a brand name power strip. I'm not going to name the brand, but
brand X.
Brand name, nice power strip, 8 outlets, and the only thing plugged into it right now is my MacBook Pro's power supply. And what we're going to do is take this, it's called a mains noise analyzer. This will listen to the noise that's coming out of your AC outlets, whether it's on a power strip or straight out of the wall. So this is things like common mode noise, which is that RF noise, electromagnetic interference, things like that. The only frequency that should be coming out of our wall in America is 60 hertz. That's the frequency of AC power. This listens to everything else. So I'm just going to plug this into the power strip. It's got a speaker on the back here, so you'll be able to hear it. And on top of that, it has a little meter that will read up to 999 or 1,000.
Okay.
And we'll see what we get here.
Wow.
So 551.
So the only thing I'm going to do now is unplug my MacBook.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
All right, now I'm going to plug the Mac back in.
And it's not even consistent. Go back to
all right, and now I'm going to plug in a cell phone charger.
Oh, yeah, those are crazy. Interesting.
So I know that's annoying for the people listening at home.
No. This is pretty intriguing.
That's pretty interesting.
So this is how power conditioners start to make sense. But before you even have to worry about buying a power conditioner, what I would recommend doing is my free tip: just unplug all these little crappy cell phone chargers, and little we call these switching power supplies. Unplug those in as many places, especially if they're on the same circuit
right
as your system is. Unplug all that stuff, your router, if you can, all that. And I'm telling you, you'll notice a difference. Your gear should be able to filter that out, but you don't, if you're willing to do that, you don't need to buy a power conditioner if you're willing to unplug all this stuff throughout your house. But this is the reason people do buy power conditioners, is because they're trying to isolate their system from all this crap that's in your home. So start there just by unplugging and see if you pick up the difference. And
that's a great tip, man.
Yeah. So that's tip 10. Yeah. Tip 10, things always sound better at 3 a.m. And this is how you get that 3 a.m. sound
exactly
all during the rest of the day, all day.
Right.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. I know back, we would run like sound at church. And one day I was running sound for like youth ministry, and I heard this god awful noise coming out of our sound system. I'm like, what in the world? And I couldn't figure it out. Somebody they brought their cell phone up into the sound booth, plugged in their cell phone, was charging it, and it literally was feeding into the system. I'm like, dang. So I experienced that firsthand. So you're saying that the same result can actually happen in our home, in our own 2-channel or our home theater setup. Pretty cool.
And what you're talking about, Michael, is common mode noise, and most phones do that. When we were developing a product at Peachtree Audio, that was like an Apple dock product, one of the first that had a digital output. And at first we'd have to put phones in airplane mode. Otherwise you're picking up all that noise on these products. That's less of an issue as phones have gotten a little bit more sophisticated, and those, Samsung and Apple, those guys have learned from that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, everything is generating noise of some kind. There's no free lunch. If you can kind of remove that variable from your system as much as possible, I think you're going to notice an improvement in your system.
Wow, yeah. I found one from Tony's Vinyl Obsession. So on tip 10, would it be worth doing, if possible, to have a dedicated line for your system from the fuse box? Again, only if it's possible.
Yeah, and I would put that in under like a more advanced tip segment if we did another one, that a dedicated line is always going to be a better solution if you can run especially a 20 amp dedicated line from your circuit breaker up to where your system's going to be, and keeping it away. Now, that doesn't solve everything. I mean, noise can still travel, hop between circuits on your breaker system, but that's going to give you the best current delivery and more isolation away from all these kind of noisy power supplies in the rest of your house. So yeah, if possible, always recommend doing a dedicated line for your system.
Definitely not as cheap as the tips you've offered to our audience, man. So
Yeah. I mean, that's going to cost you a few $100 normally, depending on the kind of building you're in. Maybe it's something you can do yourself, but I would certainly get a licensed electrician doing that job.
Oh, for sure. Any kind of dedicated line. And that's actually how I cured that situation. I had a dedicated line running here literally just to plug in a heater. Like, so messed up, but that's what you got to do, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. And along those lines, one mistake we find people making when they run dedicated lines is running one for their amplifiers and one for the rest of their components in their system. That can actually create a ground loop in your system fairly easily. So we recommend just one line, have all of your system plugged into that one circuit. That should be enough current for everything but like the most mega high current amplifiers out there. And that's going to be the best solution. So you don't necessarily need to run multiple dedicated lines. That's not always a good thing.